United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Blower, Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Individuals who wish to address the board, speak to the podium. Give your name, your address for the record. One should be made clearly and concisely within 5 minute time period. I may not be yours. Comments should be made direct to the board, courtesy and respect. Any responses from the board. So, John Miller.
Betty from being outside. Donald Miller, 2904 Cincinnati Brookville Road, Cross, Ohio, Cross Township resident. Dave, I'm not going to stand here and tear you down for what you did. As a matter of fact, man to man and Christian to Christian, I forgive you. And I hope that you have truly talked to our Lord and God about this. Yes, we had many disagreements between us years ago when you were previously a trustee. But after you were elected again, you were instrumental in settling the Burns Farm issue. I told you then you did a great job, and what had happened in the past was in the past. And I hoped and thought you could be an asset to the township. I wasn't just saying it, I meant it. However, the lasting effects of what you stated on a social media page must be addressed. Now, after your racist posts, I don't understand how you believe you can be more of an asset to this board or township than a liability. All township departments under you have stated that their department's morale has suffered because of this. The police and fire departments will have more difficulty hiring top qualified people with the reputation this township now has under your leadership. Both your fellow trustees have requested your resignation, and your ability to work with them is strongly diminished. Your benefit to this board has disappeared, and the only reason to continue to serve would be for personal reasons, not for the interests of the township. The entire tri-state has witnessed the racist action taken by you, a Ross Township trustee, as it was reported on all local news stations and in newspapers. Our image in the area has been disgraced and could take years to recover. The only way to start to restore it is for you to resign your seat and drop out of the upcoming race. Short of that, the residents of this community have to keep screaming at the top of their lungs, we're not all like this. Possibly the worst result of this is all the local racism that has been released on the local chat boards. I was born and raised in Ross and have lived here almost my entire life. I have never thought of this town as racist, even though I had heard some folks claiming it. I had just never seen it until now. Your post has empowered many to take their masks off and show their cold hearts by agreeing with your statements and the use of the N-word. Yes, there are issues in Cincinnati, but this kind of language strongly affects the many minorities right here in our own community and tells our youth that it's okay to talk that way. Let me reiterate, it is not okay. Now, on a related note, do you know a person named Thomas Payne? Okay, so you're friends with him on Facebook. This week, he put this on my wife's Facebook page. It's highlighted at the bottom. This statement is completely related to, or not related, but caused by your action. I don't know Thomas Payne. I've never met him. He just found my wife's page, put this on an old post that she had posted in September, so that the rest of the township didn't see it.
So he called me a fuckface.
No, he didn't call you a fuckface. What he said is to my wife, try to have Young removed and see what happens to your family. Fuckface. Yeah, that's a threat. intimidation. And I will be talking with the police about it after the meeting. We can't just stand by and let this happen to our town. I have a question for whoever might be able to answer this. I know Dave has ran for, or posted his applications for getting on to run for in November.
No, I didn't post that.
Well, I didn't post, but you put it on.
I did not.
You turned it in, you filed it.
Oh, okay, my petition, okay.
Yeah, you filed a petition this week to run for, that's why I write things down, I get. So anyway, if he were to win, and since we couldn't do a recall election right now because we didn't have time, and he got less than 50%, could we file a recall at that time?
That might be a question more for the county prosecutor or the Board of Elections.
Okay,
They would probably be able to give you the best legal answer to that.
I would think we could, since we didn't have the time to do it now. And if he gets less than 50% of the township's vote, that would show that township, but there's so many people running at this point that the anti-Young vote could be divided up by 4 other people. And so the odds of him getting back in are pretty strong. So it's not beyond consideration to have backup plans. That's all I have to say.
Douglas Rats. Your name right?
Douglas Freights, 2980 Hamilton Scipio Road, resident of Ross Township. This is to address David Young. The public trust is gone. Police chief, and this impacted me last meeting, the emergency meeting. Both the police chief and the fire chief do not support you and the rest of your trustees and people in this room. I heard that our leaders that we entrust for all the emergencies and everything that goes on here do not support you, which is, I think, hugely significant too. We have disadvantaged, we have people of color and people of disadvantage in this community. We're a family-friendly community. So as the gentleman before me stated, you don't represent that. You don't represent this community any longer with your racist views and comments and vile whatever goes on inside your being. You've had a week to reflect, as we have. You won't forget, but this won't just pass away and it's like, oh, let's sweep it under the carpet. You know who you are now, and we don't accept it. And I again ask you, beg you to resign. You're no longer a trusted individual, a trustee of this community, and we deserve so much better than what you're giving us. Thank you.
Don.
Hi, I'm Dawn Roberts. I am not a resident of the township, but I'd like to address a recent text thread that I received following the emergency meeting last week, which totally caught me off guard. This was relevant to one of the trustees, and for a brief moment, David, I think I'm going to take you out of the Budweiser hot seat and move to Trustee Blower. Trustee Blower, following the emergency meeting last week or whenever it was, do you recall me approaching you over there by the doorway and stating that I don't often agree with a lot of things that you've done, but that particular evening that I agreed with you in your assertion that David should resign his post? Do you recall that conversation? Okay. And do you recall after that statement saying that in 2.5 years, I've never agreed with you in anything, but we kind of giggled and we went our own ways? Do you recall that? Okay, okay. That is exactly how I recall that. And it was reference Dave's racially charged social media post that drew me to have the conversation with you by the door.
Yes.
Okay. Following the emergency meeting, did you engage in a text message thread with a resident of Ross Township regarding the emergency meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
And an old friend
okay.
who was.
I'm not going to discuss who it is because
Okay.
it's not for me to
Let's bring it
state.
up. I will.
And again, if it's not mine, I happen to get this, in a roundabout fashion. Did you
He said
input,
he was gonna send it to you.
I'm
aware.
okay, did you input, well, the fact that you know that he was sending it to me should direct the fact that you knew you shouldn't have put my name in it. But let me finish. I've got 5 minutes.
Okay.
Did you input my name into the thread with an accusation that I was the one who contacted this resident?
I probably did because he's all the way in Florida. Stated he was, when he came in anonymous, text, private text, his phone to my phone. Again, we use the word
Your-
private.
Your
not on
old
Facebook,
friend
nothing else.
that came up
We
private?
are old
Okay.
friends for many,
Okay.
many years.
All right, just making sure
And
of
he
that.
said something, and I said, well, the only way you know this is because you spoke with Don.
It has nothing to do with that it was all over the media or anything? You think the only way that he could have possibly
Probably
gotten
not.
that? Really, you don't think his cell phone from Ross Township would have this information on it? I know it's all over mine.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think that might have been, and if you read the post that he sent, which I will share in a moment,
You can.
there's a good likelihood that he actually states that that's where he got it, but we'll go over that. Can you provide me any supporting evidence or documentation that you have where you accused me of being the one that notified this resident? Do you have anything that would support that decision that you, no? So you just blatantly accused me of something without any type of,
Well, I don't believe it's any type of an accusation when it's a private text between
okay.
two adults.
That's your opinion.
It's
That's
really-
fine. With that being said, I'd like to share the text because I'm going to share a little bit of what I have on it. First off, this resident on February 4th is the last time that I had made contact with this resident. I said, can you ring me when you have a moment? Thanks, Dawn. So he knew who it was coming from. I had an RV that had caught fire in January. I was looking for a place to store a few items through the winter. And I reached out to this resident to ask if I could put a few things in his pole barn. He reached out to me. We made arrangements. Never talked to this resident again since February 4th in our conversation following that. Thursday night, I received a text message at 6:51 following the emergency meeting from my brother, who also resides in Florida and is very good friends with this gentleman. My brother thought it was funny that this thread was about, and I told my brother, I don't find the humor in this. And so I called this resident and he texted me back and said, I'm on the phone right now. I'll call you back shortly. He did. And I asked him about this and he said, yeah. I said, could you send it to me? He said, I can't. So Thursday night at 8:21, he says, this is Ross Township. Keep dialogue tonight with me. And here is what this said. Keith, I believe that this resident sent you a message that said, sounds like you had an eventful night. I'm 1,200 miles away and heard about it. Just what I thought. You replied with, who is this? He replied with, a concerned American. You replied with, bullshit, Randy, fuck the hell off.
Private conversation between two grown
I'm
men.
not saying that.
Again, but you want to make it public, so I
Well,
can reiterate, it's.
because my name was put into it.
Grown men,
Had you left my name out of it, you could have had all the private conversations you would like. So he replies with, I'll send that to the news also. That word also to me indicates that there's a good possibility that he had received this information from the media. You said, go ahead. Sure, you heard about it. Dawn told you.
Yeah, because you said over there that your brother.
That doesn't mean that Dawn
Was
told
that
him
right?
anything.
Private conversation on text, not social media.
But Dawn told him is accusing me of telling him when that is not a factual statement. Thank you, this is from the resident. Thank you, trustee, Ross Township trustee. I will proceed per your polite advice. I will do just what you asked me to do. I will tell the media, go ahead. That's what you
Okay.
That's what you
I'm
have.
gonna stop you there because the next paragraph is gonna be that he didn't check, when I checked in about his home during the hurricane, he didn't check in with my family, And I said, you didn't even congratulate me on my new grandbaby.
That's
That's gonna be
of no
private.
relevance to
Nothing
me.
nasty. Nothing
Okay,
nasty.
so
But
that's
it is
the
gonna be
comment.
President Randy Lane, who I was conferring.
Okay.
We were very close friends.
Can I have my time?
I think your time's probably up.
Far
But if
exceeded.
you want.
I think you owe me an
I can
apology.
name it who we're talking.
I just think you owe me an apology.
I don't think I do.
Okay. I would expect nothing less.
You may have left my drink well. Your expectations are foul.
I wanted to,
Can't leave your last name, so, next, please.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gruenhagen, 2022 Wagon Wheel Drive, Hamilton, 501-3. And I read the quotes by David Young that he said 10 to 1 is expletive fun, bring to racial fights down in Cincinnati. And those are the words of the police. I wouldn't ever think 10 to 1, anything to be celebrated. He also called the African Americans and Cincinnati animals. Those are quotes. And what would anybody think if he said that about an entire race of people? What if you substituted African Americans with Christians? There would be an uproar. And that's exactly equal. Because you don't put down an entire race of people. Ross is not a community of bullies. I don't think our community wants to be seen as racist. We want to be seen as kind and helpful with integrity and honesty. But if you don't resign, you put a stain on our community. And there are African Americans that live in Hamilton. I'm sad that we don't see them here. And I can imagine why. So Gandhi said, the greatness of a nation shall be determined by how we treat her. And it wouldn't matter to me if people were, I'm sure you've heard this before, black, brown, orange, purple, rainbow. Because I stand up for people. If I see somebody and they're being hurt by others, I'll step in because I'm empowered. And that's what we stand for now. We use our voices. And this kind of talk coming from you is pre-civil rights era. It's Jim Crow era. This is 2025. I brought my children here so that because of the fantastic schools, I never dreamed I would be stepping into a backwater. And the reason it's a backwater, or not the whole community, but there are vestiges of the backwater because of people like you. You're not welcome here. This is my community. Ross is not for pro racism. You're not helping the people in our community. Who a percentage of them are African Americans. And you should step in. If you don't, you're going to be voted out. And you should make it easier so that we don't drag us through them.
I'd like to call out, first of all, my opinions that I had. Please put that down. That's an opinion, and it's not well. You're a girl, maybe you shouldn't know there. Sit there and hold it aside. Okay, hold it up. All right. So I have an age difference between a lot of you people. Because I was raised in the city. And during those times, A lot of people had, even what business had moved, they talked about it. 3 black crows, had a black man, slang to their voice, car baby. There's all kinds of things that were on as we were growing up. I didn't look at it being racist more than anybody else. Although 1963, the people, the black people got the right to vote. That took a long time. But they deserved it. So, as a lot of you people in the back, you're my age, you don't have to grew up. It didn't make it racist. Right?
Yeah.
We didn't
learn.
Yeah, totally made it.
They didn't get the right to vote because of people like you.
I'm the same
I
age.
didn't interrupt you, don't interrupt me. That in kind, did it not? I didn't interrupt you. So we grew up that way, all right? Was it right, was it wrong? It's how we grew up. As things went on, we had soldiers coming back being spit upon. We had riots, we had demonstrations. It was a bad era growing up in the 60s. But things happen and things change. So, I'm not a racist person, believe it or not. I've always been a giver. I'm an example of that. Last holiday season, I had these 2 trustees right here who joined me. Buy turkeys for our full-time employees. A little hesitant there, but you know something? I went out, bought 33 turkeys. These 2 gentlemen and joined me, and we handed out the turkeys. I am always been a giver. I'm not a person who takes. I respect people. I've served 23 years on the life squad with Mac, with this. All right, I've seen it all. I've done it all. I held people's hands to their time. I delivered babies. There's a lot of things I did, and that was all free. That was all your time, folks. How many of you people gave your time like that? Oh, good. I'm glad. That's right. You're wrong with me.
8 years.
Right. I'm good. And we had a good organization. Okay, we served the public. I still serve the public. Right. So on comment I made that night. What did they like 30 years ago? I'll go back 30 years. I realize it. I was in the same situation. People like me, they were threatening about what they're going to have a Supreme Court and a couple other kids. But later that day, a couple was beaten up and in the hospital. So seeing that happening to that person and that lady, it brought up emotions. So I spoke my mind. Wrong for me to say, yes it was, but I was going by emotion. I apologize for that. That's it. I asked for forgiveness. That's what I did. I'm a good person and I always will be a good person. I've always served people. Another little example, when I was working for Lowe's, a little boy had a wallet. He was imitating his dad paying, but his wallet was empty. I walked over and put $20 in his wallet, so he had some money. I've always been a giver and I always will continue. Now, I feel I have to rebuild the faith of the people that live in Ross Township. That's possible. I'm forgiving. I'm asking for forgiveness. I have my enemies right here tonight talking about me, right? So the first one, he's sitting outside because he can't come in the building. I met him 2 years ago. After a trustee meeting, he came up and introduced himself and shook my hand. I said, well, I'm Dave Young. He took his hand in my hand because I don't like you. You're a friend of Keith Brower. I said, I've known Keith for 30 years. We served on the fire department together. He was always a trustee. He was an officer of our township. I know Keith. All right. So he's hated me ever since. I'm going to bring you guys, I'll bring up in a second. Don, you're not even a resident of the township. And when we're trying to get a police levy passed, I was putting out this one has to go and this one has to go. If we don't get them, it's dissolved. If this one passes, we'll have to cut back. If this one passes, it's all gone. But you stated, don't listen to Dave Young. He knows nothing. Yeah, okay. No, you can't respond. You already gave your stuff. I'm talking my
But
stuff.
it wasn't relevant to that. You can't tell me,
No.
if you're gonna use my name,
Oh,
then I should be allowed to reiterate something.
I said you were angry at me when I don't even why, because I didn't ever talk to you or respond
Can I
with you.
just make a comment?
Okay, go ahead. I'll do it to you.
The morning of, when we were putting up signs, you put your signs within the Board of Elections perimeter and they were down here yanking them out. And I was the one who came up to the high school and said to you, David, just so that you know they're down there taking your signs down in Elda because they're within the perimeter. And I believe you said thank you. So again, I'm not really certain how I was brought into that.
Well-
But again, social media is not the place to be hashing that stuff out. And
I
similar to
I
us
agree
in
with
the
you.
past.
You were kind enough to say that, and I apologize for my, okay. Then I have Don and his wife. We go back to the 90s. It was Don Thiem, Tom Wilsey, and myself were trustees. We needed a new clerk because our clerk resigned and left. We had to appoint. So we advertised for new clerks, applications, 5 of them came in. So we interviewed all 5 of the ladies.
Oh, no, lie there. That's a lie. She never got interviewed. You didn't interview anybody.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Well, you beg it all you want. You're up there lying right now.
Well, I'm sorry, we had to interview them because that was the process.
Exactly.
And if I'm not mistaken,
That's why she.
the whole time we were talking to her, she's crying.
Only after, no, that wasn't during the interview. That was after you had appointed Judy.
We appointed Judy, right, we appointed
There
Judy,
was no interview.
and she held that office for over 20 years.
She did a
So
good job.
I'm
She
going
did a great
back,
job.
I'm
Did a
saying your
great
anger was
job, but
because
you
we
did
didn't
not
pick you.
And you did not interview, oh, yeah.
All right,
Is anybody keeping time?
Okay,
First of all, we had to, we
I
had to
didn't start
interview.
we need to tone it down just a little bit,
Right.
y'all.
So that's my accuser. So as I stated last time, I apologize. I said some things I should not have said. I should not have posted it. I was working out of reactions. I apologize, and I also said if I offended anybody, which I obviously have, I apologize for that. I'm asking for forgiveness, and I'll rebuild my trust with the people. That can be done. I can work with these 2 gentlemen or my department head with no problem. So I leave it at that. You guys want to
Keith?
comment?
I'm gonna say a couple things that came to my mind while we're talking here. I was raised in the 60s and I was raised in the 70s. I was raised in Norwood, Ohio. It doesn't have particularly the best record with some things. My mom and dad would have had my hide if I talked that way. I mean, I wouldn't have played football. I wouldn't have played baseball. No telling what would have happened. One of the books I had to read, probably in junior high or high school, was by Mark Twain. Many of you have probably read it. Huck Finn. And then in that book, the N-word is used 219 times. And when I had to read it, each time I came across that word, it made me cringe inside. That's just coming from inside of me. I'm not going to judge somebody's heart, but when it's put in social media, there's a problem. I don't think it is appropriate to use the term enemies. If there's an adversarial relationship where someone is an enemy, I think that's problematic. We did talk last week about the process that the township has. And according to, just for those of you who weren't here, according to Ohio Revised Code 3.08, the removal process would take a referendum by the residents to recall a trustee or elected official. It is not something we can vote on. So the only recourse that the township has is to vote their conscience. I would say in the future, and I speak to myself because I'm guilty of it as well. Don't vote Republican, Democrat, Independent. You need to find out who people are, find out what they stand for. Maybe look at their social media posts. Learn a little bit about who each person is. Don't assume by reputation, name, past history that, yep, I want to punch my ticket there. What I said last week, what we say matters and what we do matters.
who we vote for matters. And don't vote the top of the ticket. Vote for who you think, this is not a partisan board. We don't have R's or D's behind our name. Vote for who you think is best for the township, please. If that's Mr. Young, you know, if there's however many people in Ross, 10,000 people, and he gets that many votes or whatever votes, then, as they say, we get the government that we deserve. But if it's not, I just implore you to please try to engage with the process. That's something I started doing a few years ago, and it's a good thing to do. So I'll leave it at that.
So we're gonna move on. So we get some actions here. So move to the adoption of motion 25-091 to dispose of the reading of the minutes from the July 2nd, 2025 meeting, and the July 17th, 2025 work session, and the July 31st, 2025 emergency meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Trustee Blower.
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Move for the adoption of motion 25-092 to approve the minutes of July 2nd, 2025 regular meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Trustee Blower.
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Yes. Move for the adoption of motion 25-903 to approve the minutes of the July 17th meeting and work session. Sorry, work session only. I need a second.
Can we get a clarification on that motion number?
Okay, 25-9093.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
so the
second.
July 17th meeting, that was a work session. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Trustee Blower.
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Move for the adoption of motion 25-094 to approve the minutes of the July 31st emergency meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Trustee Blower.
Yes.
Trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Reports fiscal officer.
I have a brief statement before I give my financial report for the month of July. I would like to speak to the events of last week and the horrific comments made by one of our trustees and the social media backlash that ensued. This has led me to speak out as the fiscal officer for Ross Township. The emergency board meeting called on July 31st was by its design for the trustees to address the situation in a public hearing. Although I am an elected official, the matter did not require input from the fiscal officer. It is inappropriate for me to post something on the township website, township Facebook page, or any other official township social media site, as the incidents of last week did not pertain to the financial health and well-being of the township. But with that being said, I do not want my silence on the matter to be interpreted as complicity. I stand alongside trustees McGurran and Blower in my disgust and my belief that the statements made on social media by Trustee Young have damaged the reputation of Ross Township. I also believe his refusal to resign his current position has damaged the trust of his fellow elected officials and damaged the trust of the people he has taken an oath to serve. Despite his half-hearted apology, he insists on remaining in office, effectively doubling down by rejecting any accountability. Collectively, the trustees are dedicated employees, and I will work diligently to regain your trust.
It was wholeheartedly. Okay. Go on. Reports, ma'am.
That needs to be addressed.
I'm sorry, it's not open to the floor. Going on with their business.
Go back and listen to the tape of what he actually said, folks.
Go ahead.
Township.org.
All right, for consideration this evening, I need you to review and consider the certifications of purchase orders and checks written since the last regular meeting. You also have in front of you with the blue banner, the receipt report for the month of July 2025. It is 3 pages. That's a good sign that it's that long. Management reports for July of 2025. There is a revenue status report and a fund status report. I also have for you the appropriations report, keeping in mind that we're 59% through the year. I can't believe I'm saying that, but we are. So all the percentages on those revenue and appropriation reports, please keep in mind that we're at the 59% mark. I have for you to review and to sign, once I find it, the appropriation supplemental report for the month of July, and I will circulate that there here in a second. And then I have the first financial credit card attestation for June of 2025. I will note that we have added a couple new cards, one for Sergeant Little and one for Michaela Little. Michaela's will be on next month's, actually, yes, and Sergeant Little's is on this particular report as well. Then we have the bank reconciliation for July of 2025. And then I wanted to point out the status of the hybrid checking account. And if you compare our interest earned from July of 24 to July of 25, our interest has increased 85% over last year at the same time. So that, again, I sound like a broken record on that. That was a good move, if I do say so myself, to change that method of hybrid checking account. So aside from that, we will have a little later for your consideration, a request to amend the revenue certificate. We have a new fund source, and then we had some increased revenue that we wanted to bring in to make it available to spend. So those are all the items that I have for you this evening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'll be happy to address them. Here's the report. Be the last document I have to circulate for you. So if there's any questions about the finances, we are holding steady.
End of your report, Matt, yes, ma'am?
That I'm done. I guess you can move on to resolutions if you'd like.
Consideration of litigation. So purpose of the order is financially allow the receipt of funds received from the prior donations and raffle donations. Funds must be added to the police department 2025 financial budget. This resolution adds those funds. Move for the adoption of resolution 25-047, amending the revenue in the fund of the requesting amended certificate and estimated resources for the Butler County Auditor. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Purpose, approval of the pay of the bills. Move the motion 25-095 to pay the bills and presented through the fiscal officer certification purchase orders. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Administration report.
Good evening. First on my agenda is, I would like to report on the upcoming timeline for the residential solid waste and recycling contract. The current contract does expire next spring. It does require the competitive bidding process. So the tentative timeline would be to finalize the request for proposal at the end of October, publish the request for proposal beginning of November, have any bids submitted the beginning of December, select a vendor by mid-December, sign a contract by the end of 25, and have the current contract begin April 1st of 2026. As I indicated, this process does require the competitive bidding process. So I am requesting the board to consider entering into an agreement with Energy Alliances. That is currently the consultant the township is using for the community aggregation programs to assist with this process. And they have indicated in the past when they do this for other communities, they do include in the RFP that the cost of their services would be paid by the winning vendor. So there would be no cost. Township funds, tax funds would not be used for their services. So later in the meeting would be your consideration to enter into it with them.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Certainly.
You were talking about is this a gas and electric aggregation?
Yes, that too.
Is that an opt-in or opt-out contract?
The residential contract is all residents are required to participate. There are some exclusions. I believe if you live on a farm, you're not required. If you have the means to dispose of your trash, if your employer allows you to do so, you have to submit a letter on your employer's letterhead indicating that you have that. But it does require all residents, just like the current.
Is that, when we talked about that, did we approve you being the negotiator for that? Or is that something we need to talk about? Because I've gotten some concern from residents about them being automatically opted in, not knowing that they can opt out before maybe they have a bill that's higher than they would like. I think if they had the ability to opt in, it would be better received than being required to opt out. Because
The Ohio Revised Code dictates the process, and it says the contract provides both of the following. The contract shall be entered into only by competitive bidding, and no other independent contractor or other person or entity shall provide in the township or waste disposal district the services agreed to in the contract during the contract period.
That's what it does with other townships as well.
So, yes, everyone does have to.
this is in the solid waste.
Solid waste.
Okay. What about so we're not talking about electric and gas?
No.
No.
Okay,
no,
that's
we're
what I
talking
asked. I
about
thought at first.
residential
Okay, I got you.
solid waste and
Okay.
recycling.
All right.
Which currently is with.
And are those competitive bids publicized?
Yes, it's a whole, Energy Alliances would help formulate all of the specifics, for the service.
Okay.
Then it would be publicized, entities interested in being considered would respond with the bid by the deadline. All the bids would be open and,
Okay.
we would.
When that's done, can we publicize that, what the bids were? So
Oh,
that
most
people can see it?
definitely.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Okay, I'm good.
That might be a requirement.
Thank you.
Next before you, trustee McGurran had drafted a letter to send to property owners in the area for the proposed Venice mixed-use overlay area. I have put it on letterhead. I just wanted the trustees to have a final reading of the letter, and if it's ready to go, you can sign this color copy that's coming down to have an original signature on it. So before you, is the mailing list, I did go through, any property owner that owned more than one property will only receive one letter. And obviously, just because they own property along the area doesn't mean that that's, where they receive their mail. So I did research correct mailing addresses. So I believe it came up with a list of about 80 individual recipients of the letter for, I don't remember the property. But that will go out next week. And also before you is the new census update. And that's all that is, motivation.
necessary in the legislation. Purpose, to enter into an agreement with Energy Alliance Incorporated to oversee the request and proposals for the process of the assistance with the finalization of the contract with the vendor, the residential solid waste recycling. Motion for adoption 25-048, entering into an agreement with the removal and management cost containment of reduction. One is where I'm at. Skip Energy Alliance. Okay. Back it up. Okay. Move the adoption resolution number 25-408, entering into an agreement with Energy Alliance Incorporated, BG/A, cost management alliances to provide solid waste removal and management, cost containment and reduction in consulting services, and negotiate with all the vendors and suppliers of the township on behalf. Authorizing the township administrator to execute the required documents. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, did we have any information on this after our last work session 3 weeks ago? Did this just come in, other than the contract, that was sent in the agenda on Tuesday? I don't know much about it, of what they're gonna do for us.
They'll help write the specifications for the solid waste. There's,
Kind of cost.
right, well, yeah, the cost, there's things like managing the fuel cost. I think our current contract has some, stipulations in regards to that. The service parameters, I think that currently they can't start till like 4 or 5 a.m. It sets the day of the week. It just, would set all of the parameters for the township wide.
Who has done this in the past for us?
Well, 10 years ago, the township was asked to participate with Colerain Township and Springfield Township.
With-
And they contracted with some company called Nestor that's like in Pennsylvania to help write the RFP. After the end of that 5-year contract, Ross Township was not invited to participate in the renewal. However, the current contract as written, we could opt in to one additional 5-year renewal. So that's what Ross Township did. So
So that-
this process, we are on our own.
So is that the big container and recycle bin like I have at my house, that's coming to an end?
March 31st.
Okay. Is anybody from Rumpke stepped up there that they want to talk about this prior to Energy Alliance?
Well, it has to be done through the competitive bidding process.
And I believe you stated earlier that no matter what goes on, Energy Alliance is billing whoever gets that contract.
Correct. That's included in the bid specifications.
You can get Rumpke.
And where is this written? Do you have this on paper from them, like a,
I think it's in the agreement that's attached to the resolution.
the one? And I understand Rumpke coming to an end in that 5-year term.
Is Rumpke one of the bidders?
Could be.
They could be. They'll publicize the bid.
Yes, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
trustee Blower,
I'm gonna abstain.
and trustee Young.
I'll go along with Keith.
So look to see if that, I think abstentions act as a positive vote. In case of a tie. But I don't know. We'll have to look at that.
I know I'd like a lot more literature before I would put my vote to go in and
I
accept
think
this
the
agreement.
alternative would be is if we don't pass, if it doesn't get passed, then everybody's on their own and each company can charge you whatever they're going to charge you. Right,
in
or we hired
process,
it, if
make
we
sure that
want to
it's done
continue with the aggregated rate for the township folks. So,
Again, until I understand more what they're offering and why they're getting, our gas and electric aggregate person is getting involved with solid waste. Table it.
Then can we table it?
Well, I've already.
so you've already voted, well, you've already
Yeah,
voted,
right.
but you could bring it up again. I don't see why you couldn't.
Let's do that in work session
Okay.
next time.
I could ask if they could attend the work session.
Okay.
Purpose. Agree to the material, terms of, proposed national opioid, settlement agreement with the Purdue Pharmaceutical Pharma LP and the Stacker family in alliance with the distribution of proceeds in accordance with the Ohio, from one Ohio, and moratorium, of the understanding of which Ross Township adopted resolution 2023-014. Move for the adoption of resolution 25-049 to authorize the township administrator to accept the materials terms in a new national opioid settlement with the Purdue Pharma LP and the Slacker family. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes?
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Purpose, the township administrator has provided evidence of a nuisance violation to exist on a property of Mullen Drive. This resolution declares that property to be a nuisance and orders the abandonment. Statement, I'm sorry. Moves the adoption resolution, number 25-050, declaring it a nuisance for the accumulated debris on 2666 Mueller Drive. I need a second. I need a motion first. Second.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Can I
Yes.
have point of order? Trustee Young, did you make the motion?
I did.
Okay, and is seconded by trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then discussion, when was the last time we looked at that?
The date the picture was taken.
Is it second?
Yeah, I understand.
Top of the
Oh,
top,
top.
the white text.
Okay. Roll call when you're ready.
Roll call?
Trustee McGurran.
Yes?
Trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Fire department.
Just one more.
There was one? Okay, Brent, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. Board of Trustees, Resolution 25-043. The trustees declare the nuisance existence on 2188 Grand Avenue, which record the abatement of the township's abatement crews. The resolution certifies that the abatement expense to the county auditor for excess assessment. I need a motion.
Second.
Second, I'm
No.
sorry.
Let-
I made a motion, I need a second. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Second.
Yeah, come on, okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes?
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, now, fire department.
Good evening, everyone. This month, or last month, in July 2025, the Ross Township Fire Department responded to 105 total incidents. 57 of them were EMS for fire. Couple mutual aid runs. Received mutual aid 4 times in July, and we provided mutual aid 5 times. It's a pretty normal month. Our 3-year average for one under or below what the last 2 years have been, but that's the normal variant year. We also, our inspection division completed 28 inspections of the businesses. Next week, they have 29 scheduled, 7 of them. Before you, for consideration tonight, are a couple of resolutions. The first one is for the Hamilton Community Foundation's grant. Is to provide, us with grant money to replace some of the equipment lost in the, Whitewater River, a couple, maybe 2 months back. It's gonna help us, resupply some of those stuff, some things that we lost. The other one is for us to write a grant for the BWC, in order to try to, obtain, monies for new Lucas, automated compressors. Because it's a split with the BWC, we have to have your approval. Write the grant.
Could you explain the 6.5 mil fire levy that's been coming up in the?
That,
Or you- I can-
Not at this time. We will.
You can talk, yeah,
We'll talk about it.
our fiscal office should be more than happy. You have to give you all the information you want. You have to print it out. Okay, consideration for legislation, the purpose to accept Hamilton Community Foundation grant for $2,578 for the purchasing, water rescue equipment. Move for adoption of resolution 25-052, accepting the terms and conditions for the equipment purchase grant from the Hamilton, Community Foundation. Appointing, the authorization of the fire chief as the project manager to execute and grant terms and conditions establishing a grant fund number 2919 entitled 2025 HCF Hanover Life Squad Grant. Budgeting receipts and making the appropriation expenses requiring the amended boy, that word got coming on me today. Certificate, geez, to establish resources for the Butler County Auditor. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Purpose authorization, application for safety and intervene grant fund through the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the two chest compression system, charging the batteries for use of the fire department. Move for the adoption of resolution 25-053, authorizing the application for the grant of the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the safety intervention grant. Program to purchase and acquisition, and equipment authorizing the fire chief to execute and require documents in connection with the grant application. I need a second.
Second.
And discussion.
Trustee McGurran,
Yes.
trustee Blower,
Yes.
trustee Young.
Yes, ma'am. Road crew.
Walked those streets, found some cracking and sections of sidewalk that cracked. Had them seal that and replace the top. All good, that'll be turned. Finished the Fenton Road culvert project, and I just want to give a shout out to Joe Niehaus, he owns the Southwest. He come out with his pumper truck and I ran the concrete. He was out there about 3 hours. Sent the truck and a half. I don't know what that bill is, but I bet it would be. Thank you, Joe. The other thing, we got a couple of tractor breakdowns, so I delayed us with our tree trimming and stuff. It's doing $1,500 on one tractor. Yeah, everything else.
Can you and Lori put something together where we can, thank them for their service to the community? We deeply appreciate that.
Paul, earlier before the meeting, we had a resident who had a question about those little pucks that can be thrown in mosquito. And I don't know where we got them. We didn't know if maybe you knew where we had them here for years and then we finally got rid of them. Okay. Possibly. Alan, do you
And
remember?
that goes back.
We can, maybe see if like environmental services at the county, somebody might know. I'll ask. Sure. Said I'd ask, so.
Police Department chief.
Thank you, sir. July 2025 call for service of a 14-hour accident. An overdose, 3 ODIs, 25 suspicious vehicle persons called, 215 other calls, total of 264. Self-initiated call for service, fire officer, 230 business checks, 187 station checks, 205 extra patrols, and 105 traffic stops for the total of the month, 909. Detective Minnick's been working on a couple cases, and all of that, the truck was recovered in the county over in Indiana. We do have a suspect of interest, process DNA result back. We had a fraud, our officer did a really good job, there was an elderly person was being scammed, they were having him go to different banks to withdraw money. His family was trying to get a hold of him. Our officers actually located him, stopped him. Fortunately, they got some money, but not all of it. And we're working with the family to get courts involved and show them how to do it so that it doesn't happen again. So if you're ever on the phone with someone who wants money and they tell you not to talk to your relatives, that is a scam. Hang up immediately and talk to your family member. My mom did the same thing, so know her son the cop. So, been another online fraud. We did some search warrants for that. We didn't get any information back for Google subpoenas and bank documents. And then we had another victim theft online fraud. Money was withdrawn in Georgia. We reached out to the organization, law enforcement agency down in Georgia, and got them all the documents they needed, and they will prosecute the person down there. He's also working another big case, but we're not, he doesn't want me to talk about that yet, so I'll just. PO Alicia Cammer, I don't know if you'll talk about it tonight. She passed her FTO phase and she is now out there on the streets on her own, protecting and making the township unsafe and fair. Congratulations to her. So we had 7 community engagement events. We estimate approximately 1,900 individuals we engaged with those events. Obviously, the biggest being our National Night Out. I cannot thank our corporate sponsors that donated to our community event so that we could grill out here. It never fails. I got on social media and I said, it's not going to rain. And then it immediately started raining. My wife said, why did you eat right now? But we still had a great turnout. It did light up a little bit. I thought me getting dunked 400 times would have been the show stealer. However, K9 Blitz in his video has over 40,000 views on Facebook. So obviously K9 Blitz stole the show that day. But I have to look.
I think Sergeant Little might have something to say about K9 Blitz being, for that.
That's not.
Yeah. And K9 Blitz is our new K9, obviously, and Sergeant Little's done a wonderful job training with him, and I think that'll be a great asset to the community. And we deeply appreciate the Havercamps Society or organization for providing that.
Township business, old business.
Yeah, there is old business. I'm gonna go back off to our special meeting. Thought about this a little bit after work today and prior to coming to this meeting. And it's addressed to you, David. Mr. Young, I ask again that you please voluntarily step down from your position. Look out at this audience this evening. They are all here for one reason tonight, is they ask you to resign your position. They are not only embarrassed, but by your racist remarks on a national news website, they are also angry that you don't see the harm you have done to Ross Township. They don't care about the era in which you grew up, or what retired Cincinnati Police Chief Stryker had to say, or that you've made a peace with your God. They just want you to resign so someone else who they can trust can sit in that seat to represent them. They do the right thing. Go ahead and step back.
Anything else? New business? Administration?
Nope.
Announcements? And from administration? Anything from the
Do you
board?
want to use that opportunity to discuss the fire levy? Or, I mean, there was a question from the public about
That
it.
would be good, that'd be good.
Be good. I don't think I have my levy folder tonight. Do you have it? I can hit the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights.
I can tell you that we currently have two levies that exist together. They are voted in different years. They're rotated in. They total 5.75 mils. Collectively, when levies are put into place, they have a maximum that they're ever allowed to generate.
Maximum dollar figure.
A maximum dollar figure can never exceed the millage on the ballot, but over time as and I'll use my hands a lot, so follow me along. As time goes on and your population increases, your valuation increases, the ability to generate more money grows. So that 5.75 reduces over time. We here in Ross have never done anything but renew a levy, which means we don't increase the amount it can collect. It just continues. Back in 2014, when the second levy was added, it generates approximately 1 million, a little, and some change. So a little bit over $1 million annually. And that has been the budget since 2014. And over time, the costs have far exceeded that revenue stream. And so asking for an additional 6.5 mils, while it does sound like a lot, the board is already preparing the language that says upon its passing, the other two will be immediately rescinded. So we will not have additional levies. The 6.5 will take over theoretically in 2026, and the other two will stop. So it's just the difference between the 5.75 and the 6.5. So it's not as dire as it sounds. But I will tell you that the combined value of the 5.75 is down to about $3.28. So that shows you how much the population has grown, because it just continues to shrink the millage. So it still only generates the $1 million annually. So the new 6.5 is, I believe it will generate more like 1.1 million annually. It is a little more than that. And I don't have it all in front of me, but I can happily run to my office after the meeting and make a copy, because I have a pretty nice spreadsheet, because we explored a lot of different options. Okay.
The Board of Election had it listed as an additional levy
And
continuing.
well,
So it
and
wasn't a
here's
replacement.
the deal, because the next levy up for renewal isn't up till next year. So this is a brand new standalone, and the other two will be rescinded. Like I said, we'll have the resolutions ready for those, ready to go. That way, and we've done that here in Ross before. We did it with the police levy, but if you pass this, we'll rescind this. So we have a good track record for that type of thing. But it is, in all honesty, it's a new additional standalone, because we're running it outside the cycle of when it would normally be renewed. Worst case scenario, and I don't want to talk about worst case scenarios, but should the levy fail, we have the ability to renew it next year. But that is going to have to come with some really heavy conversations about shuttering one of the two firehouses, potentially maintaining our current full-time staff. But those are conversations I don't even want to think about having. And but they will be part of our budget discussions in this fall, because we're going to have a game plan.
Sure. But when it looked like it was going to be on top of what we already were getting,
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah, and that's what the Board of Elections, they're just looking at the ballot language. They don't know the nuances, and that's what, there is a very well put together levy committee that has their work cut out for them
Right.
to
Right.
get the information out.
Yeah.
Yes, and as Administrator Kyle pointed out, every resident of Ross should have gotten the spring or the summer newsletter. And does have a lot of information in there about the fire department and some other things. But it has a lot of the information on there. But the levy committee is busy getting themselves put together. They've got some money raised so they can get materials and.
So the one thing I think we didn't iterate on is we brought this up a year ahead of time, because once you pass something, it's a year before you get the money. So that's why we're doing it now, for that year to go about, so it'll kick in and the other two drop off. So everybody, just you understand, we have to do it now. And we don't have much time to get the message out to the people. Hopefully it does pass, then the other two, like she said, will drop.
Good point too.
And some
Okay.
change, yeah.
I want to run back over a couple things here. We are at 3.28 mils currently. And that was from how, 5.75?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how much growth.
So
we've had.
because we are in 2025 and budgeting for 2026, we are operating on money that's 11 to 12 years old. I guess a fair comparison would be if your salary, those of us who are working, was the same in 2025 as it was in 2014, would you be able to operate? What kind of cuts would you have to make in your house? We face the same kind of a thing. The effective rate has gone from 5.75 to 3.28. And Chief Morris, if you can explain the cost of the cots that are necessary and the age that they are, the
AEDs.
effectiveness that they are, the AEDs. This is where this is a driving force of why we need this. And secondly, and then I'll let Captain Morris or Chief Morris talk. The police department, we felt it was important that the police department have a permanent levy, a permanent stream of income. That vote was close, and there was a lot of people that helped nudge that over the line. We're in the same kind of boat here with the fire department. The levy that we're putting on is a continuing levy so that there is at least a base to say, okay, we have a fire department. It will be funded. If a future levy is not passed, then we'll have to approach that as it comes. But the way the levies are now, every 5 years, for instance, it has to be approved. And if it's not, then it can go to zero. Don't want it to go to zero. We're way too big of a township. We're way past the point where that should even be on the table. So it is a continual levy, a permanent levy, if you want to say, at least that amount. And then I'll let Chief Morris talk, please.
Well, all I can say is that when it comes to EMS and fire stuff, it says EMS and fire that automatically doubles in price. So a chainsaw that you might buy at Lowe's for $700 or $800 is going to cost me probably $3,000. The stuff that we use medically has to go through rigorous testing and things like that. So the cots that we use in our ambulances cost $30,000. New fire truck costs $1.1 million now.
Starting out.
Yeah, so anything in the business of EMS and fire is going to it's just expensive. So those costs have gone up significantly, and especially in the last 5 years after COVID, we've had significant jumps by like 24, 25% just in equipment alone. And then on top of that, I got to pay a bunch of people, and their costs go up too.
You used to all volunteer. I mean, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I wish that was the case, right? Yeah, I've got 42 pretty devoted people that work for me right now, and give them a pay raise every once in a while. They get mad at me. So just the costs in general have gone significantly up since 2014.
How many new cots do we need? 2 or 3?
3,
And they are how much?
they are, well, the cots themselves are $30,000. The load system that loads in is another $30,000. And the ones I have now are almost 20 years old.
And how far past their usable life?
They don't make parts for the ones I have.
Fair enough.
I will say we do have some pretty amazing part-time folks who know how to tinker with the equipment and they keep our life of our equipment. It's amazing. I could say that about amongst all the departments. I mean, road department does a great job with that too.
Second, and I made a phone call to one of our guys and he came in and, happily fixed it.
Yes, so
So,
we use our resources to the best of our ability. They're a frugal group of people.
It's kind of like the old adage, you don't want to see a fireman at your house or a life squad member unless you really need them.
Absolutely.
It's like, because we have a group of good people dedicated. All right, and have announcements, how about correspondence?
Couple things we got here. It's probably in your stack. I've got them pulled up here, so I'll just read over them. They might be buried in your stack. We got something from the 2025-2026 district convocation. That is Wednesday, August the 13th, 2025. Breakfast is from 7:15 to 8:15 a.m. The convocation is from 8:15 to 9:15 a.m. That is at the Ross High School Auditorium at 3601 Hamilton Cleves. Please RSVP to Gina Burnett. If you'd like the email address, you can contact any of us or Administrator Kyle. We received some other correspondence that asked that it be read. It's addressed to the trustee board. It is from Phil Persley, 3220 Fox Run Drive. Dear Sirs, I have recently become aware of the hateful racist comments made by David Young. As a resident of Ross Township for the past 55 years, I must say that I'm appalled. An elected official who makes this kind of statement should not be representing me and my fellow Ross residents. I understand that Mr. Young apologized during the meeting for his hateful comments. This shows he is aware of how hurtful and harmful his comments were. However, this is not enough to erase the damage that has been done to our community. Next, Mr. Young needs to contact the Urban League of Greater Cincinnati or similar organization and volunteer a number of hours to support this group after explaining to them that his way of attempting to make amends for the harm his comments have done to the people in and around Ross Township. Finally, Mr. Young needs to resign from the Ross Township position that he holds immediately. It is my hope that when the people see that the residents of Ross Township will not tolerate mean and hateful comments by any elected official, they can understand that this is truly a good, kind, and strong community. So personally. That is all I have.
Mr. Presley, so over the years, I have done a lot of things for people, like him, like. And I have given a lot of things, like I buy groceries for people for no reason at all. How many of you do that? I do it constantly. I've been doing it for 10 years. I had a black resident that lived in one of my houses that I rented out, Section 8. She's a wonderful woman, had 2 wonderful kids. She also had kids all the time, 2 to 3 foster kids in her. We straighten them out. Amy and I were very close. We sit down and talk about our kids, so we had something in common. Also, we took over turkeys to her house for Thanksgiving. I don't hate blacks. There's so many black people that are good. Only a few that are bad, just like the white people. Okay, they're no different. They want the same thing we want for our kids. And I honor that. What I said that night did not paint a full spectrum across everybody. Channel 12 had it right. It was directed towards the people that were causing the problem. You got trouble with your fingers there, young man? Okay. So that's my statement. I have taken care of people. I've always will take care of people. And if you've got a problem with it, and I apologize, and I ask for forgiveness, I don't know what God you have, but mine's a forgiving God. And you can be appalled as you want to be, but you have to face your God as well. That's all my statement is. All right, we're going with the
What
business.
if St. Peter's a black guy?
Well, they were darker skin, you know, but
Okay, we've had that discussion. I think we've, at our next meeting, if there's more discussion to be had, fill out the forms over there and you're welcome to discuss. We've had a lot of public comment tonight.
be trustee administration. Okay, trustee received a letter. Administration received an invitation to that, okay. Topics on August 21st, 2025, a work session. Topics needed for that board. Closing actions.
That
I missed
should be
something?
discussion,
I
we
have,
need
oh,
topics.
I'm sorry.
I have submitted something to Administrator Kyle for that.
Okay.
And I will see if a representative from Energy Alliances and to discuss the residential solid waste and recycling.
Administrator Kyle and I also thought it might be important to discuss, we have been quoted by an agency that can assist us with our healthcare. They have some HR ability, and we thought that might be a good topic for conversation. And I want to discuss a cell phone and cell phone reimbursement policy. When we hired Chief Johns, it was with the understanding that we would reimburse him. We don't have a policy, and quite frankly, I don't have one. I hadn't had any that I could find that I felt was appropriate. But I have since found some information on that, so I think it'd be a good topic for discussion.
Closing action. Is there any further business being brought before the board? Move for the adoption 25-096, the adjournment of the meeting. Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Trustee McGurran?
Yes?
Trustee Blower?
Yes.
Trustee Young?
Yes, ma'am. Our next meeting will be August 21st, 2025, 6 o'clock here at the building. Thank you all for attending and have a great day.
Separation of church and state